Hi, this is Rob Rains with Powerful Identity. Everyone has something in their life that they want to change. I do, you do, everyone has things that they want to change. And I'm guessing that if you're watching this video, it's because there's something in your life that you've identified that you want to change, and you're looking for ways to make that easier, or at least even believe that it's possible. I'd like to share a few thoughts with you about that I think will bring some hope and I think will help you in your efforts. First thought is that I want to share and make sure you understand is that change is absolutely possible. Not just tiny incremental change, which is, but also massive change. Change on a large scale. And change that lasts, not something that's just going to last a short time, but real lasting change that's enduring. Those things are very possible. Second point I want to make is that those are possible not just in general, not just for some people, some select really lucky or really strong people, but for you. You and I, we can change too, and we can make it lasting change. I'm going to share in a few minutes some proof of that, some things that I have done in my life that are evidence of that change and how I did it, so that you can benefit from that experience, from the things that I learned along the way. The third point I'd like to make is really to answer a question. Why is change so hard? Why do we struggle? Why do we begin the process of change and then fall off the wagon? Every one of us has had that experience of starting on January 1st with New Year's resolutions of heading to the gym or eating better or making more money or whatever it be. And by January 3rd, we're sleeping in again. Or by February 1st, we are done going to the gym. Or we're back on our old way of eating, or whatever it be. That happens so often. And the reason for that is that there's a part of our brain is a miraculous, amazing instrument, but there's a part of that brain, referred to commonly as the lizard brain, that its whole job is to protect us, to defend us from harm, and to perpetuate the species. And that part of our brain, that lizard brain, makes change difficult, incredibly difficult. What it actually does is it not only protects our physical body through things like controlling our heartbeat and controlling our breathing so that you can breathe in when you're not thinking about it, that your heart beats even when you're asleep. It also controls our fight or flight syndrome, that ability for the body to quickly engage and use all of its muscle energy, in fact, more energy than it normally uses, to be flooded with adrenaline and be able to escape a difficult situation or fight a predator or deal with a very, very complex situation requiring a lot of energy and a lot of strength up front. Our bodies and brains are amazing and capable of these amazing feats. At the same time, that same part of our brain that kicks in automatically and takes over and doesn't get filtered through our conscious thoughts, that part of our brain also protects our identity, protects what we truly believe we are. And if that identity is good, it makes the habits that we want to have fairly easy. But if our identity is a poor one, if it's not a healthy one, or if it's not one that is helping or serving our current goals, then that brain, that lizard brain, is protecting an identity that's not serving us. And it actually works backward. It pulls us back toward the old identity. Any change, any attempt that we make to move forward, it pulls us back and keeps us from succeeding in those goals, in that change. And despite the fact that the brain is amazing, that one piece of it makes change very, very difficult. What is our identity, you might ask? Our identity is like a mirror. Think of a common bathroom mirror that you use to shave or to do your hair or to get ready in the morning. If that mirror was cloudy, or if it was murky, or if it was cracked or warped, and you did not have a clear picture, it would make your job much more difficult. What if the mirror was more like a video screen and it actually showed you the wrong picture? It showed you something different than what was actually happening. You comb your hair one way and it shows your hair flopping to the other side, even when that's not what's really happening. That would make your job impossible. Well, our identity is the way that we see ourselves, and when that is accurate, it's really helpful. But when it's not, and for most of us it's not, when it's not accurate, It shows us a warped picture of what we are, of what we can do, of what we are at our core, of what we're capable of how we think and how we speak and how we act. In fact, you may not be aware of this, but it's an internal mirror, and you look at it all the time, not consciously, but your body, your mind checks very quickly, checks by that mirror before you do anything, before you say anything. It checks your words and your actions, your thoughts. It checks your beliefs against that mirror. It even checks your physical and mental capabilities to expand them, to make them very possible, or to limit them based on what it believes you can or can't do. Now, this may sound a little bit fantastic or even sci-fi, but this is a very real thing. One example is that people that suffer with dissociative identity disorder, better known as multiple personality disorder, there have been documented cases where when a person is primarily one personality and then that personality changes, a different personality or an alternate personality comes to the front, that their eye color can change, or they can lose or gain a condition like diabetes or gluten intolerance, that you can have residing in the same physical body, one identity that has an intolerance for gluten products and another identity that has no problem with them at all, or allergies to peanuts or orange juice, and a different identity will not. And the markers or the symptoms of those conditions will come and go with the identity. If what your brain believes you are can change your physiology and your body chemistry for someone that suffers with dissociative or multiple identity disorder, then for you and me, for most of us that have one identity, our brain has that same power to change our physiology, to change our ability to accomplish things, to change what is hard or easy for us. I'm not suggesting here that you can lower your cholesterol by just thinking real hard, but I am suggesting that you could lower your cholesterol massively by changing your habits, and that changing those habits can become easy by you changing your identity first. That's the key. The change in identity is the key to massive change and to lasting change. Those changes will happen very quickly when the identity changes, but also when the identity changes, it's not something that snaps back like a rubber band. When you change that identity, it stays changed. Again, unless you go in and change it further or adjust it further. But it's not something that snaps back. And so when you can learn to change that identity, that makes all the difference. There's some great ideas in a book by James Clear called Atomic Habits. I'm not the author of that book. I didn't write it. The author does not know I exist. I don't get paid to promote his book. I just think it's a fantastic book. And the second chapter talks about how our habits shape our identity, and then our identity shapes and enforces our habits, and how powerful that is. I give that to you as a gift to begin that process of changing your identity. How do you change your identity, you might ask? That's a fantastic question, probably the $1 million question here. I was asked that question by a dear friend. She's a client, and so for confidentiality, I'm going to call her Mary. But partway into my journey, which I'll tell you about in a moment, I had made a massive change in my life, and she asked me, how were you able to maintain that change? And I said, I changed my identity first, and that it was the key to that change. And she said, how do you change your identity? And I came back to her a time later with 7 specific shifts, 7 changes that I made in my thoughts, my language or syntax, my behavior, my attitudes, my connections, and so forth, and my focus. Those changes that I made, I call those the 7 power shifts. And I teach those to clients and audiences and groups and teams so that they can affect massive, lasting change as well. One of my clients recently, we'll call her Rosa, during an interview, I asked her what changes she had seen as she worked with me in an 8-week coaching program. She reported that in the 8 weeks prior to working with me, she had a 25% success rate in the change that she was attempting to effect, which was her eating program. She was attempting to eat in a healthy manner, resulting in weight loss. And then during the 8 weeks during which she and I worked together, she was able to change her identity massively, quickly, and well, in a lasting way. During those 8 weeks, she experienced a 75% success rate in her newfound habits. And as a result of that, was able to shed 7 pounds during those 8 weeks, which was remarkable given her history of trying and failing in many cases to lose weight for years before that. I was delighted to hear of these results, and I share them with you as, again, an evidence that change can happen. It can happen in a short amount of time if we learn how to change those habits by changing who we believe we are, who we see ourselves as, by changing our identity. I invite you to visit my website, powerfulidentity.com, and look for ways to change your identity. Consider a coaching program. Consider some of our written educational products, some of our videos in our library, and some of the things that we do, some of the tools and coaching programs that we offer to help change, to help guide through those 7 shifts and make massive, lasting change in your life. And I promise to tell you about my own experience as an example of what you can do when you change your identity. About 13 months ago, I looked like this. This is a photo of me and my family. I was close to 400 pounds. I'm now about 185 pounds. I feel fantastic. This has been done in the course of about 13 months with no surgery, no magic pills, just by changing my eating habits. We all know the things that we need to change. I shop more in the produce section and less in the bakery section of my grocery store. But it's more than that. I changed my identity from someone who struggled to lose weight and loved certain sugary foods to someone who is healthy and maintains some basic health habits, who watches the things that he eats, who avoids certain foods, sugar and flour, for example, and who eats correct portions and doesn't snack in between meals. Someone who is healthy in body and mind. And the best part is, not only did I lose weight, not only do I feel better and I'm able to move around and do more things with my body, but my mind is clearer. My heart is clearer. That's going to sound a little bit odd to some people, but what I mean by that is it's easier for me to connect with people and to have lasting and better relationships. My relationships in my family have improved. With my children, I'm a better father because of the changes I've made. I share this with you again, not to pat myself on the back, but to point out that change can be real and massive and lasting if we will work to change our identity. And when we get that key just right, boy, the results roll in. They turn over seemingly overnight. Not really overnight. It took me 13 months. But that's a big change in 13 months. It's about 185 pounds in 13 months. That's a huge change. Friends who haven't seen me in a year don't recognize me. It's a lot of fun. But more than that, I like who I am now. If you are struggling to lose weight, if you're struggling with confidence issues, if you're struggling with finances or relationships in having real connections, if you're struggling to gather clients, if you're struggling to make a change from a job to a business, reach out. Come visit our website. Look at the things that we're doing. See if changing your identity would help you solve the problem that you're struggling with right now. And if it would, reach out, email us, call us, and let us chat with you and share with you some of the things that we're doing and teaching, and let us help you change. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to share this with you, and I'll just leave you with this question. What will you become now that you know that you can create whatever life you want through creating a new identity? What will you become?